Krishna, good morning. So we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the 8th canto, chapter 24, and the chapter is named The Fish Incarnation of the Lord. Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation, is the name of the chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we start, we just read first the verse from yesterday, because yesterday you had another class. So Kamalasita asked me to read the verse from yesterday, and then we read the verse on the board, and then we read the verse for today. So, Januyasya Yadishate Satim Katim Yaya Papate Patrajayam Tamahatam Pamnayam Yanam Amokajamasa Papajate Yeno Nijam Padam. So this is verse number 51. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification, and because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. But your lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent persons receive such knowledge, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So-called gurus instruct their disciples for the sake of material profit. Some guru advise that one meditate in such a way that his intelligence will increase in regard to keeping his body fit for sense gratification. Another guru advises that sex is the ultimate goal of life and that one should therefore engage in sex to the best of his ability. These are the instructions of foolish gurus. In other words, because of the instructions of foolish gurus, of a foolish guru, one remains perpetually in the material existence and suffers its tribulations. But if one is intelligent enough to take the instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enunciate the Bhagavad Gita or the Sankhya philosophy of Kapila Dev, one will very soon attain liberation and is situated in his original position of spiritual life. The words Niyam Padam are significant. The living entity, being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has the birthright to a position in Vaikuntha Loka, or the spiritual world, where there is no anxiety. Therefore, one should follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Chakva Deha Punarjanma Naiti Mam Iti Surjuna. After giving up one's body, one will return home back to Godhead. The Lord lives in the spiritual world in his original personality, and a devotee who follows the instructions of the Lord approaches him, Mam Iti. As a spiritual person, such a devotee returns to the personality of Godhead and plays and dances with him. That is the ultimate goal of life. So now we have the verse which is on the board, verse 52. Svam Savalokasya Surit Priyeshvaro.
Savalokasya Surit Priyeshvaro.
Svam Savalokasya Surit Priyeshvaro.
Savalokasya Surit Priyeshvaro.
Yatma Guru Jnanam Adishtasiddhi.
Yatma Guru Jnanam Adishtasiddhi. Yatma
Guru Jnanam Abhishtasiddhi. Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
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 Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Samsavalokasya surit prayeshvaro.
Samsavalokasya surit prayeshvaro.
Yatma gurjnanam abhishtasiddhi.
Yatma gurjnanam abhishtasiddhi.
Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
Ananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
Sarvalokasya suharta priveshvaro.
Samsavalokasya surit prayeshvaro.
Kim atman guru rajanam vishasta siddhare.
Atma guru jnana abhishtasiddhi.
Tathapi lokanam bhavantam andhadhira.
Tatapi loka bhavantam andavir.
Janati santam hridayabhakama.
Janati santa vidabandakamaha.
I wrote one word wrong. Samsavalokasya surit priyeshvaro.
Samsavalokasya surit prayeshvaro.
Yatma guru jnanam abhishtasiddhi.
Yatma guru jnanam
Abhishtasiddhi.
Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
Janati santam vidipandakamaha.
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha.
त्वं सर्वलोकस्य सुरतप्रियस्वरो
Samsavalokasya surit prayeshvaro.
यात्मा गुरुर्ज्ञानम् अभीष्टसिद्धिं
Yatma guru jnanam abhishtasiddhi.
तथापि लोको न भवन्तम् अन्नधिय
Tatapi loko na bhavantam andavir.
जनाति सन्तं हृदि बद्धकमात्
Jananti santam vidipandakamaha. Svam. You, my dear Lord,
You, my dear Lord,
Savalokasya,
Savalokasya
of all planets
of all planets
and their inhabitants,
and their inhabitants,
Surit,
Surit,
the most well-wishing friend,
the most well-wishing friend,
Priya,
Priya,
the most dear,
the most dear,
Ishvara,
Ishvara,
the supreme controller,
the supreme controller,
he
He
also,
also,
Atma,
Atma,
the supreme soul,
the supreme soul,
Guru,
Guru,
the supreme teacher,
the supreme teacher,
Jnanam,
Jnanam,
the supreme knowledge,
the supreme knowledge,
Abhishtasiddhi,
Abhishtasiddhi,
the fulfillment of all desires,
the fulfillment of all desires,
Tatapi,
Tatapi,
still,
still,
Loka,
Loka,
persons,
persons,
na,
now,
not,
not,
bhavantam,
bhavantam,
unto you,
unto you,
andadi,
Andari,
because of blind intelligence,
because of blind intelligence,
janati,
Janati,
can know,
know,
santam,
Santa,
situated,
situated,
ridi,
Ridi,
in his heart,
in his heart,
pantakarma,
Bandakama,
because of being bewildered by material lusty desires.
because being bewildered by materialistic desire.
Translation. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the supersoul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. Purport. Herein the reason for foolishness is described. Because the conditioned soul in this material world is full of materialistic lusty desires, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesho Arjuna Tishtati. It is because of this foolishness that one cannot take instructions from the Lord, although the Lord is ready to instruct everyone, both externally and internally. The Lord says, Tadani Buddhyogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. In other words, the Lord can give instructions on devotional service by which one can return home back to Godhead. Unfortunately, however, people do not take to this devotional service. The Lord, being situated in everyone's heart, can give one complete instructions on going back to Godhead. But because of lusty desires, one engages himself in materialistic activities and does not render service to the Lord. Therefore, one is bereft of the value of the Lord's instructions. By mental speculation, one can understand that one is not the body, but the spirit soul. But unless one engages in devotional service, the real purpose of life is never fulfilled. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and eat with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are different items of Ananda, spiritual happiness and spiritual variegatedness. Even though one may come to the platform of Brahma Buddha and understand his spiritual identity by speculative knowledge, one cannot enjoy spiritual life without understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is indicated here by the word Abhishta Siddhi. One can fulfill the ultimate goal in life only by engaging in devotional service to the Lord. Then the Lord will give one proper instructions on how to go back home, back to Godhead. I will read the verses again. I will read them just without the Sanskrit. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification, and because of such instruction, the foolish disciples continues in this materialistic existence of ignorance. But your Lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the supersoul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svabhadanyikam Vanchakapacharubyascha Kipasindhubhya Japatidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are very wonderful verses and also very wonderful purports. In the first verse, Srila Prabhupada, he is calling the so-called gurus. Guru is another word for teacher. We wouldn't call it a guru really who is teaching materialistic knowledge in our terminology. But this is what Srila Prabhupada is speaking about. That they are those who they're claiming themselves teachers, but they are teaching materialistic knowledge and teaching. It's very interesting. There was one author who was getting into writing esoteric books. I'm just, because Prabhupada is picking up on this in the purport, I want to mention this. So he was writing a kind of esoteric books, and his publisher was not so. He did not so much want to print all the books on. It's like pseudo spiritual knowledge. He was not so interested, so he told this author, "You have to write a book about sex. Then we will publish. Then we will, that will be very successful." So this is exactly what Prabhupada is speaking about in the purport. So you have these teachers, they are just going to speak about things which are completely on the materialistic level. And this is what is going to bring success in the material world. And that's also what's happening in the material world. We have, especially nowadays, you have, everybody can open a YouTube channel and become the guru of some subject matter and teach something. So of course devotees are using these platforms for spreading Krishna consciousness and for glorifying Krishna and for talking about Krishna in so many forms. And I personally am very happy that I can be connected and listening to all the talks of the different Vaishnavas, the different spiritual teachers. Easy. I know just 2 weeks ago my spiritual master, he was in Australia, and I would get like the live, I would be live on a class which was given in Australia. This is like completely amazing. Completely amazing. So the platforms are there, but there are so many who are not actually gurus, who are using these platforms, or the whole society. Everybody has some kind of teacher for some kind of subject matter, but it's all for the material, for gaining material. So Srila Prabhupada, I wanted to tell a small story about one of my most favorite devotees of all. Her name is Mula Prakriti. She's a Prabhupada disciple. She passed away some 10 years ago or something. But she was serving Srila Prabhupada one time in Los Angeles, and she was cleaning his bathroom, which were upstairs in his rooms, in the morning. And Prabhupada was on the morning walk. And when Srila Prabhupada, he came back, everybody of the other girls who had been cleaning his quarters, they already kind of like realized Srila Prabhupada is coming a little early. So they had already left. But she was in the bathroom and she was so absorbed in cleaning, and she just realized, oh, Prabhupada is coming back. And there was a narrow stair which led up to his room. and she couldn't get out because Prabhupada was coming up the stairs. So she kind of like just hid it in the place. And Srila Prabhupada, he came up together with the Indian gentleman who had been with Srila Prabhupada on the morning walk. And they were talking, and Srila Prabhupada was kind of like listening how this gentleman, he was saying, oh, this was such a beautiful morning. The sunrise was very beautiful, Swamiji. So he was, Jai Shri Radha Mahan Ki Jai. So he was glorifying the raising of the sun, this gentleman. So he was saying to Prabhupada, you saw this was such a beautiful sunrise. And then Srila Prabhupada, he was saying, yes, this was a very beautiful sunrise, but the effulgence, the beauty of Krishna is millions of times more beautiful than the sunrise. This is just like a small spark of Krishna's beauty. Even the rays which emanates from Krishna's toe is millions of times more beautiful than the sun. Can't you see? And this man, he was like, no, I cannot see. I cannot see how Krishna's effulgence, even a little from his toe, is so much more beautiful. I can just see the sunrise and I think, oh, this is very beautiful. So I cannot see. And all this time, Mula Prakriti, she had been standing. She didn't walk down. She had been standing there in the corner, kind of like hiding, but she was looking up, and Srila Prabhupada, he was looking at her and saying, can you see how Krishna, how he's so much more beautiful than millions and millions of times more beautiful than the sunrise. Can you see? And she was like, no, Srila Prabhupada, I cannot see. She was very humble, because to see Krishna's beauty it's a blessing to actually be able to see the beauty of the Lord. But she was like, no, Srila Prabhupada, I cannot see. And Srila Prabhupada was answering back to her, I want you. I want you to see. So this is the real Guru. The real Guru, he wants everybody to see the beauty of the Lord. He wants to teach how to actually, and here we get very intimately related. How Srila Prabhupada is speaking that the whole idea of devotional service and the process of devotional service is to be reinstated in one's, it says here, the living entity being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has the birthright to a position in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha Loka, in the spiritual world where there is no anxiety. And then Prabhupada, he goes on, as a spiritual person, such a devotee returns to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and plays and dances with him. That is the ultimate goal of life. So this is what the Bhagavatam is teaching, this is what Srila Prabhupada is teaching. He wants the devotees to become so intimately connected with the Lord, and in the second purport, Srila Prabhupada, he is actually repeating this again. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and live for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to play with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, eat with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these things, it's a very personal activity to play, to dance, to eat, to be together, to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the whole goal. And Srila Prabhupada, he's also, within the purport, there are 2 verses from the Bhagavad Gita. I think there was another verse also in the first purport, but I think we go for the second purport. There were 2 verses. Prabhupada, when he quotes a verse within a purport, for him it's like continuing speaking in the same language. But for us, we see there's a Sanskrit verse and we don't know what it means, you know. So sometimes he translates some of the verse, and like in this case, he's quoting a verse, but he is not quoting the first line of the verse. He's quoting the third line of the word first. But we will read the whole verse. So the first verse he is quoting is the Ishvara. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Riteshve Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantar Udanmaya. Yeah, actually that's not the verse. I have to find it. Yeah, that's the first verse he's quoting. So that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entity who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So this is when Srila Prabhupada is speaking about how Krishna, he is sitting in everyone's heart. The living entity is wandering within the material world, 8,400,000 different species of life, with no guidance at all. He's completely lost in the ocean of this material world. But Krishna, he is in the heart also, together with the living entity, and he is guiding the living entity who is wandering in this material world. And actually, like we were seeing before, here, Satyavata, who is speaking these verses, he is saying, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller of the super soul, and the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge, and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. But still, the line which is here is, he fulfilled all desires. So he knows what is the hankering, what is the wants of the living entity, and he's guiding the living entity from within how to fulfill his desires. So for the ordinary living entity, these desires can only be fulfilled according to the living entity's karma. But for a devotee, there may be also still some karma. Practicing devotee, he will still have some prarabdha karma, some leftover karma from all these many millions of lifetimes he has been within the material world. There will still be some residue, some left karma. But as he's practicing devotional service, this karma is getting more and more light, and the fulfillment of his desires, like Srila Prabhupada was telling one devotee in a posthumous letter which was written to this devotee after he had left this world, Jayananda Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada he was saying to him in writing that if there was some trace of material desires when you left, you are going to Swargaloka, and there you can easily fulfill the last traces of material desire. But then Srila Prabhupada said, but I am convinced that you have gone back to the spiritual world, because you had, at the time when you were leaving, you were hearing the chanting of the holy name. So, in this way, even devotees, there may be some desires, and the devotee has to become completely free of all desires before he can actually enter into the pure realm, transcendental, in this pure relationship with Krishna. One should be completely ahitukiya pratiyata. No material more desires should be there. So there is another verse also which is that's also from the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, I wanted the first verse, but that we can take in the end. This is from 10:10 in Bhagavad Gita. It's a very famous verse. Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogantvam yenam mam upayanti. So there, Krishna is saying very simple. It's a very simple instruction, but it's very, very deep. Those who are constantly devoted to me, serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So this goes hand in hand. You serve with love and devotion, and then you get the understanding how you can actually come to Krishna. So this is a very, very nice verse. And the first verse, which were in the first purport, I think this is a very this kind of verse that you can meditate on a long time. Because I will read it to you, then you can understand. This is the Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Viti Tatvataha Chakva Deha Punam Janma Naiti Mam Eti Sojunam. This is from the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it was quoted. It was quoted in the first purport, and there it says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attain my eternal abode over human. So this is very interesting, because there's something you need to do. You need to know the transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and of his activities. It's not enough that you know of Krishna's birth and his activities. You have to know that they are transcendental. You have to know that they are completely beyond this material world. There were personalities there when Krishna was on the planet who saw Krishna and who saw his activities, but they just thought he was a king. Like, they were like a little bit in awe, oh, he's a very great personality, but they didn't understand his transcendental nature. They didn't understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not, and not in a way like the devotees in Vrindavan. They also didn't understand really that Krishna was the Supreme Personality, but that was out of love and affection. They were so absorbed in love for Krishna that they couldn't. Krishna was their mother Yasoda. Krishna was her dearest son. And even to many of the Vrishbasis, the other mothers, they also had sons, but they were so much more attracted to Krishna. And even the cows, they were so much more attracted to Krishna than even to their own newborn cow. They would be so much more attracted to Krishna. So that is, but still, that love was already beyond actually what this verse is talking about. They were already there, so they didn't need this verse. But for us, we need to understand the transcendental nature of Krishna, his activities, his birth, which is very intriguing. I was just discussing with my husband some weeks ago. We were discussing, well, what actually happened, He took birth and then, and there are so many, then Balaram, then we have Subhadra, became as Durga. There are so many intricate things to really understand what actually happened. And Yashoda, she gave birth to a girl. And some places it says actually she gave birth to twins. It's a very, very confusing scenario, the whole thing. So the thing we have to do, we have to understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and activities. It's like a big job. We really have to get ourselves focused into what does it actually mean. How does Krishna appear? And here we have one chapter where Krishna, he is appearing, it's actually said in the beginning of this chapter how Krishna, he's appearing, it's his first incarnation. He appeared as Matsya, the fish incarnation. So this is like really also mysterious, how he's just like a small, small fish in the palms of Satyavata, the king. And the king, he is like on a water fast, so water is very important for him. So he just throw this little fish to the river, and the fish is like, no, you cannot do that. I hear other bigger fishes, they are going to eat me. Please, you're the king, you have to protect me. So Satyavata, he take the fish with home and put him in a bigger bowl, and then the next morning the fish cannot fit in the bowl. It's like, it's growing like exponentially, so it takes some time. He gives him a bigger pond, he gives him a bigger, and always the fish, you have to put me, in the biggest place. So these are Krishna's transcendental activities, and of course Satyavata, he should have immediately understand. He should have understand. The first time he threw the fish in the river, he should have understood, because the fish was speaking. So he should understand this cannot be another fish, it's always speaking. So there is this pastime. Krishna has different pastimes, and we hear about them, and then we understand, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with our understanding, usually if our heart, by the process of devotional service, of hearing and chanting, our hearts are becoming purified, then we are actually attracted to Krishna's activities when we hear these activities from the Bhagavatam. If our envy has kind of like become a little more mild, then we can actually become attracted to Krishna's activities, and then it's very inspiring to hear how now he's like giving instructions to Satyavata, and then Satyavata, he is also glorifying the Lord by these verses that we have just been reading. So Matsya is like the first incarnation, but and he's doing different activities. It's almost like a Noah's Ark situation, because he asked Satyavata to collect all the different plants and animals and everything and put them on a ship, and then Matsya, he will come and he will save when there's some inundation of water. He will save. He's a very big golden fish, very, very extraordinarily beautiful, and he has a long horn on his forehead, and like a schwertfish, like a long horn on his, and Satyavata, he is to tie the boat with the Vasuki, with this big snake, to the boat, and then he will be saved. And the Vedas will be brought to Lord Brahma, so that they are saved for the universe. So there are always some purpose and some activities of the Lord, and we can become attracted to his activities by studying the Bhagavatam. And Matsya Avatar, he is this first incarnation of the Lord, but there is like only one chapter in the whole of Bhagavatam. There's just one small chapter about Matsya, but it's very, very sweet pastime, and one can study. This will be the last chapter of the 8th canto. So after this chapter, the 8th canto is finished, and then we continue with the pastimes of Lord Ram, which will be there in the 9th canto. So maybe there are some comments, some questions.
When I was reading this line, Tom Sattva, Suhitam.
Yeah.
Suhitam, Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, one verse. I don't know number, but I know the verse.
Yeah, 15. Hrideshu.
Bhoktaram Yaktastam, Sarvlokam Maheshwaram, Suhitam Sarvabhutanam.
Yeah.
That's 527, I think.
Yeah.
So Krishna himself also saying Suhritam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the well-wisher friend of all entities.
Yes. I think it's 15:15, but this book doesn't have.
527?
Huh?
527?
This is a famous sloka.
Oh.
It's very often quote this.
I have to look.
Also 1550 is not. This is not. That's at the end of the first chapter.
Also Sarasha Chahamriti Shadivishto Matasmitya Apohanam Cha.
Just 15.
This is 15. I'm situated in everyone's heart, and for me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. This one you mean?
No.
This one is Bhoktanam Yag Tapsam.
That's the last
Sarva
one.
Loka Maheshwara.
Yeah, that's the last one in the 5th chapter.
Suhritam Sarva Bhutanam.
529. Yeah.
29, okay.
Yeah. Let's see where we have it. It must be here. Yeah, number 29. Yes, exactly. Bhoktaram yakyatapasam savaloga maheshwaram suridam savabhutanam gyatvam mam shanti dichyati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and a benefactor and well-wisher of all living entity, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So that means we need to know Krishna in 3 particular forms, or 3 particular activities. So first of all, he is the supreme lord of all the planets, Sarvaloka Maheshwara, all the planets, all the demigods, everybody is under his control. He is the ultimate supreme personality. And then he is there's also the first one is one has to know that he is all austerities and all sacrifices that we are doing, all the things that are done for the pleasure is actually ultimately done for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the Bhoktaram Yakya Tapasham. He is for him, all the sacrifices and all the tapasya and all the fasting and everything we do, this is done for him. And then the last one, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, that he is the friend of all living entity. He's the well-wisher, the benefactor, the well-wisher and the friend of all living entities. So these 3 things, yes?
Yeah, well, good. Thank you very much for the lecture, Manjulamani. What does it mean to really understand the transcendental nature of Krishna? So how can one, as a beginner, come closer? For me, I understand only a little that Krishna is not touched by the 3 modes, or that he is never in contact with the material nature. What does it mean to really understand his transcendental nature?
Yeah, therefore I said this is a verse you have to meditate on a long time, because it's not that easy. It's like a task. It's something you have to apply yourself to understand how the Supreme, how he's not within this material realm, how he's completely aloof to everything, and how he's completely free to do whatever he wishes he can do. It's not that easy. And still Krishna is saying, like, if I didn't work, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 3rd chapter, he starts speaking, he's speaking this verse that we had in the Sunday feast class, whatever a great personality will do, the common man will follow. And in the verses that comes after this, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about how he is performing all his different duties and activities. And then Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he is saying, yes, in Dwaraka, Krishna, he would get up very early in the morning to perform his ritualistic activities, his spiritual activity. Krishna, he would give an example for everybody to follow. So it's very difficult to understand Krishna's transcendental nature. Therefore, this verse is there, that you understand the nature of his birth and activities. Then at the time, if you just do this one thing, you just understand how Krishna is completely transcendental and how he's actually transcendental. It's not that easy. If you can just do that at the time of death comes, boom, you go back to the spirit, you go back to Krishna. So it's very dear. What is happening in Krishna's heart? When you want to know him, you become very dear to him. So you are like really interested in him. Therefore you're interested in reading Srimad Bhagavatam. You can see all these different activities of Krishna. It's kind of like you want to know more. Tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me more. So when Krishna sees you have this mentality and you're eager to know him in detail, to understand how is his birth, how is his activities, why is he doing what he's doing, you become intrigued by him. You become, your attachment for Krishna just grows and grows the more you know. And this is very endearing to Krishna, and it's so endearing to Krishna that he says, the only thing you have to do, you have to die. That's it. Then you come back to me. He doesn't say you have to give me all your money. You have to surrender completely. You have to, make a big sacrifice. It's not what he's saying. He's saying you just have to know my transcendent nature and my activities. And know that not just know, but he says in full. So you have to really, you have to really know Krishna as a person. And if you know Krishna as a person like that, you become very attracted to Krishna. Like that was what Prabhupada he was saying to Mula Prakriti. He was saying, that's what I want you to know, that the beauty of a ray of his toe is million times more beautiful than the rising of the sun. And I want you to know. Prabhupada wanted the devotees to know Krishna. Therefore he gave Krishna book very, very early. Krishna book, and even before that, the teaching of Lord Chaitanya, which is like a summary of Chaitanya Charitamrita, like the whole philosophical background of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and his interaction with Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Ramananda Roy, all these very philosophical pastimes are there in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and Prabhupada already in 1968 he published that book because he really wanted the devotees to know. And Srila Prabhupada, he really wanted his devotees to read his books, because how you can know Krishna, you cannot know Krishna if you don't read Srila Prabhupada's books. And very early he gave Krishna book. It was printed already in 70, before the Bhagavad Gita. There was an abridged copy of the Bhagavad Gita, which were like 350 pages, 400 pages, which was printed also in 1968, but that was not the full copy. The full copy came out in 1972, and the Krishna book had already been there 2 years. So Prabhupada really wanted the devotees to read his books and to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of God, and even come to understanding, like the devotees of Vrindavan, who just out of spontaneous love act for Krishna. They don't even know anymore that Krishna is God, but they have so much love. The gopis, they heard the flute and they just ran. They didn't put their ornaments. They put the down part of they had like these gopi dresses, so the down part was up and the up part was down, and they just ran. They didn't care. So this is, Prabhupada wanted very much that we know Krishna. He asked, I want you to see, he said to Mother. I want you to see. And she really felt this is like a personal instruction from my spiritual master. I have to see Krishna. I have to be able to really see the beauty of the Supreme. I have to see him in his full